All right, let's dive into this huge internet phenomenon that you've almost certainly heard about, but maybe don't totally get. We are talking about ASMR. Just think about it for a second. Have you ever been listening to a soft sound, or maybe watching someone do something really carefully, and all of a sudden you get this weird but really pleasant tingling feeling? Kind of starts on your scalp and just washes down your back? If you're nodding along, then you already know exactly what we're talking about today.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll figure out what the sensation actually is. Then we'll get into what causes it, the triggers. After that, we'll look at the actual science, what's happening in your brain. Then we'll see why people use it for wellness. And finally, we'll talk about the creators making it all happen. Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first. What in the world is this feeling? For years, people who experienced this just thought they were weird or that they were the only ones. They'd go on these old internet forums and just call it the unnamed feeling.
It wasn't until 2010 that it got this very official-sounding name, Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, ASMR. Okay, that's a mouthful, so let's break it down. Autonomous just means it happens by itself, you can't force it. Sensory means it has to do with your senses, hearing, sight. And meridian response is just a fancy way to say it's a feeling that peaks and flows through you, or, what pretty much everyone else calls it, brain tingles.
And this is the most important part to get. This is not just some emotion people are making up in their heads. Nope, it's a real, actual, physiological reaction. Your body is physically responding to something you see or hear.
And hey, if you've never felt it, this description might give you an idea. Imagine this warm, almost fizzy wave of relaxation just washing over your brain and then spreading out. It's this incredibly calming experience, and it's caused by some really specific things. Which, of course, brings us to the next big question. What are those things? What is it that actually causes these tingles? Let's unlock the triggers. So the things that set off ASMR are called triggers, and wow, there are a ton of them. Some of the biggest ones are sounds, like someone whispering, or gentle tapping noises, or even the crinkle of a plastic bag. But it's not just sound. Triggers can also be totally visual, like just watching someone do a task with these really slow, careful, deliberate movements. And these triggers pretty much fall into two big buckets. You've got your auditory triggers, which are all about sound, usually sounds that are quiet, crisp, and kind of repetitive. And then you've got your visual triggers, which are all about sight, watching slow, focused, methodical actions. It really is a full sensory experience.
Okay, so we know what it is and we know it seems to cause it. But what is actually going on inside our brains when we feel that tingle? It's time to get into the science of it all.
You see, for the longest time, ASMR was just stories people told online. But now, science is finally catching up. Researchers have put people in fMRI machines, brain scanners, and they've found that when someone experiences ASMR, very specific parts of their brain actually light up. And get this, it's the same areas that are involved with reward, emotion, and even social connection.
You can see it right here. We're seeing tons of activity in the medial prefrontal cortex. That's a part of the brain tied to social connection. And the nucleus accumbens, which is basically the brain's pleasure and reward center, it's firing up too. This is hard evidence that the brain is processing this as a genuinely positive and pleasurable experience.
But wait, there's more. It's also believed that the whole experience triggers the release of hormones like oxytocin. You've probably heard of it. It's often called the cuddle hormone or the love hormone. It's associated with feelings of comfort, safety, and trust. And that really helps explain why simulated personal attention, like someone pretending to brush your hair, is such a powerful trigger in so many of these videos.
So this is all super fascinating, right? But what's the point? Why have millions and millions of people made watching these videos a part of their daily lives? Well, the answer really comes down to its power as a tool for wellness. Check out this number. A staggering 82% of people who watch ASMR say they do it to help with stress and anxiety. I mean, in the crazy, fast-paced world we live in, that is a huge benefit. And it doesn't stop with stress. 70% of viewers use ASMR specifically to help them fall asleep. That calm, almost sedative feeling that the tingles bring can really help quiet a racing mind and make it easier to just drift off.
So yeah, while some people are just chasing that tingle sensation itself, you can see that the vast majority of people are turning to ASMR for relaxation and for sleep. It's really become this kind of digital self-care for millions.
But of course, none of this would even exist if it weren't for the people behind the camera creating all this content. And that brings us to our final section, the rise of the ASM artists.
The journey has been unbelievably fast. I mean, think about it. It went from just a few people talking about the feeling on forums in 2007 to getting its official name in 2010. But the real explosion happened around 2014 on YouTube. And now, here in the 2020s, it's totally mainstream. It's even been in Super Bowl commercials.
And the creators, who call themselves ASM artists, they have this really unique skill set. They're part sound engineer, part performer, and part community builder. They have to figure out what triggers work. They use these super sensitive microphones to create these immersive soundscapes, and they often create a feeling of calm, personal attention that builds a really strong sense of trust with their audience.
So, let's wrap this all up. What started out as this kind of weird, unnamed tingle that people talked about in the dark corners of the internet has exploded into a massive cultural and wellness movement. And it's one that's actually grounded in real neuroscience and is genuinely helping millions of people relax, de-stress, and sleep better every single night.
Which leaves us with one final big question to chew on. As we learn more and more about this incredible connection between our senses and our mental state, is ASMR just a fun internet trend, or are we actually looking at the very beginning of a new kind of accessible digital therapy? The answer to that is still unfolding.